Okay, go.
Has high drama been hit by lightning by any of the plays they've seen? Scott C. Sickles' Lightning from Heaven is based on Boris Pasternak, who wrote Dr. Zhivago, his relationship with his wife and mistress, Olga, who was the inspiration for Laura, and his literary translator as well. Their run-in with KGB lawyers and guards for his subversive novel that was published in Italy and how this affected Olga's daughter. Tom Coates' usually fine direction suffered here by the stilted cinematic contrivances of the scenes flashing back constantly in an expository manner. It's an interesting topic that deserved a more exciting production. Despite the flawed production, the solid cast held my interest. I just couldn't understand why Olga was arrested and treated badly instead of Pasternak, who wrote the vile anti-Russian government book. Also, it's hard to believe a sympathetic KGB agent with humanity. It made me want to read Olga's memoirs, A Captive of Time, to understand why she chose a book over her daughter's suffering. So I am going to give this a mixed review. And also Workshop Theater, where this is taking place, is also doing a children's show from Kate Pfeiffer called My Mom is Trying to Ruin My Life, and Kate Pfeiffer is the daughter of Jules Pfeiffer, and it should be quite a lot of fun. You know, it's President Week, take your kids there. Camille comes to us courtesy of Stephen Hayes, who plays the courtesan with the cough of gold who falls hard for Armand and is willing to sacrifice her happiness for his.
I somehow the other loved this play. I walked in. I loved the space, the stage, the red curtain, the way it was directed, all the actors standing at the bar, and just like it reminded me of all the old days of Charles Ludlam and all the things we used to do in the Avenue C and D. I thought it was so much fun. I mean, maybe some of the cast members were not the greatest actors, but they were so much fun. I haven't had so much fun for the last couple of years. I just loved it. I loved the whole thing. I want to go back and see it again, and I recommend this show highly just for the space. Director was fantastic. I really, really loved it.
We should say it was directed by John V. and Phillip. The sets and costumes, which really were good, were by Andrew Lauren Resto. He was assisted by Brad Baker and Noah Ruyer. Oh, sorry, I can't pronounce it. Anyway, on the whole, it was pretty funny and good. I just had trouble with the character playing Armand, Mark McBaron Kessler. He had no charisma, no pizzazz. He's supposed to be this passionate Robert Taylor guy, and he was just to me a wet noodle. So that's my only caveat was I'm sorry to, he might be fabulous in something else. He just wasn't up to snuff here. But everyone else was just wonderful.
I loved the costumes. It was just fantastic.
I agree. You only got till the February 24th to see it, but definitely give it a happy face.
Very happy. Laramie project, which was done in 1999 at Union Square Theater, is back at BAM. It's a project by the Tectonic Theater Company. They all went to Laramie when Matthew Shepard, a young man who was beaten to death, literally, was hung up on a fence and was left there for 18 hours and finally died in the emergency room 5 days later. It is, the theater company went, they interviewed tons of people. It is one of the most moving, sad, literally, just I cried the whole time. It's just amazing story, and I'm so glad that this theater company and Moises Kaufman went there 6 times and did that. And then in the 7:30 was the second part. They went back 10 years later and interviewed almost the same people and some new people. This was a hate crime, and then some people have changed their opinions. They say it's a drug robbery and it's a robbery and drug case, and it was baloney. Everybody should go see this project. It is fantastically done. Actors are brilliant. They're all mostly co-writers also. I loved it.
In Bertolt Brecht's The Good Person of Szechwan, three gods, Viney Burroughs, Annie Golden, and Mia Kattigbach, desperately search for a good person whom they find in Shantay, Taylor Mack, the town prostitute. They give her money which she uses to open a tobacco shop, which is soon taken over by freeloaders. Kate Benson, Brooke Ishibashi, Paul Yun, Ephraim Burney, Daryl Winslow, and Jack Allen Greenfield. Her only ally is water seller David Turner. Even the love of her life, Clifton Duncan, and his horrible mother, Lisa Crone, take advantage of her. She has to turn herself into a disguised bad male cousin in order to survive her good nature.
Well, Bertolt Brecht was trying to find out if there can be one good person and who can survive. And they find that good person in Taylor Mack, brilliantly acted, but who could not really survive. So he adopts a different identity, you know. I enjoyed it very much. I loved the fact that Taylor Mack, when he was playing a woman, did not wear a wig. It was just like so unusual, and it was just so fantastic.
Well, that's what a good actor he is, or actress, we should say, because it didn't. You felt he was a woman. You felt he was a bad man. You felt every character he put out there, and also we should say that it was directed by Lear de Bressonnet. Lear de Bressonnet. I'm sorry, I'm mutilating people's names. She is a phenomenal director, and she did so much with this. This is a must-see. It isn't done often, and Brecht is just so timely.
Yeah, and the set was so brilliant. It's like little houses, like you up on the hill with lights on them, you know? And they were made of cardboards and tins, and and actress Lisa Crone was so fantastically funny. And Viney Burroughs very majestic. The gods, they were very, very fabulous. You know, I enjoyed this show immensely.
And there was music by Cesar Alvarez with the Lisps. There even was a band involved. Anyway, I'm giving this a totally happy face. This is a must-see at La Mama.
Me too.
The three plays in Marvel Rep's current repertoire are called Desire and Delusion, and they're plays about sex, fate, love, and honor. The first that I saw, Secrets, the story of Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung, written and directed by Ken Wedrow, is probably not the untold story, but it's a really fascinating one. The older Freud sort of adopts the younger Carl Jung and neglects one of his other analysts, Sandor Ferenczi. Jung's wife is jealous of the father-son and perhaps romantic relationship between the two men, and there's a patient being treated by Jung who becomes his mistress and the expert teller of his dreams. It's really wonderfully done, very interesting about this period of early 20th century in Vienna, and I highly recommend it. Night Games, written and directed by Lenny Leibovitz from a Schnitzler novella, Spiel im Morgengrauen, involves Willie, a young lieutenant who gets involved in a gambling debt of honor that he must pay back or lose everything. He desperately tries everyone he knows, from his uncle to friends to finally a former ex-girlfriend. Who can help him, or will no one help him? This feels like a trap, and indeed Vienna at the turn of the last century must have felt like that. The acting, especially by Isaac Woofer as the main character and Emma Rosenthal as the woman, are excellent. It's a really good play, but I think the novel might be even more in-depth. Hopefully next week I'll see Flirtation, a play actually written by Schnitzler, translated by Carl Muller. And I'm sure I'll enjoy it just as much as the others. Marvel Rep is indeed marvelous.
Neil Konigsberg's Off the King's Road at Theatre for the New City is a sweet story of a man, Jack Davidson, coming to England to get over the death of his long-suffering wife from cancer. He has encounters with the concierge bellboy, Christopher Borg, prostitute Michaela Mihet, his psychiatrist, Ethan Cohn, is very concerned, and a cat-loving neighbor, Amy Van Nostrand. This was very sweet, but it was not the right thing for Bill and I to be seeing!
I've never been where something theater was so profoundly relevant in our own personal lives at this time. There were so many coincidentals, it was beyond all odds that all of this would happen in a singular play.
We should set this up. You may have seen Gracie in the background. Gracie Cupcake, my cat of 16 years, died on Ash Wednesday. Bill got her first, then I got her, and Bill had the ashes of Gracie in his, and there was this.
Well, we don't want to reveal too much of the play, but it is a worthwhile, profound. It sounds depressing. The guy also, not only is he getting over his wife's death, but he recently retired too, so he's going through those two things. The part Christopher Borg played, Freddie, who's the concierge front desk man, it is so well written. He steals the play, but everyone, it's a wonderful ensemble.
Oh, no, I agree that it's an ensemble piece. I thought everyone was just fantastic, and it was well written and directed. I really liked this play, despite the, sorrow in my own life.
And this is Neil Kohlensberg's first full-length play, and it's a remarkable feat. And Stephanie Sturtick was the director, just did a brilliant, brilliant job. You have 2 more chances to see it on Saturday, today, at 3 o'clock, and then tonight, Saturday, the 23rd at 8. So if you can get over to Theater for the New City, do so.
We are airing this on Saturday, February 23rd at 1:30, we should add, because there might be other times we're showing this show that it might have closed already. We don't know.
Big Flower Eater by Victoria Lynchon also has 2 more performances, tonight, the 23rd at 8, and Sunday at 2. And it's a provocative new work, Big Flower Eater, a series of fragmented, compelling scenes that are interwoven and connected, basically dealing with grandmother's ghost haunting her granddaughter's Lower East Side apartment. We get glimpses and insights to Asian culture and the dynamics of women in the culture, especially the shamanism, spirituality, done through storytelling, movement, and music with connective media presentations. It's a compelling piece. I highly recommend seeing. The cast is wonderful, and again, just 2 more performances, Saturday and Sunday the 24th, 8 and 3 p.m.
Stolen Shares production of Victor Hugo's novel, The Man Who Laughs, is called a live silent film for the stage. That's a very good description of this presentation of the tragic tale of a disfigured orphan who becomes a popular clown with a fixed laugh. The beautiful blind girl he grows up with, the kindly ventriloquist who brought them both up, and the bored aristocrats who intrude into their lives. Jacqueline Schaefer and Stephanie Cox-Williams developed grisaille makeup, which conveys the look of silent films for a live stage performance. While somewhat mask-like, the makeup allows the performers to create the non-naturalistic, over-life-size emotions needed for this tale. All the actors in the company were extraordinary. Noah Schultz plays the clown as a boy. Dave Droxler plays the grown man. Molly O'Neill is the blind girl. And John Froelich is the kindly old man. They are unusually moving. Rebecca Whitehurst and Rafe Baker, other bored upper-crusters, are wonderfully vampy and foppish. Writer Kieran Ricky's intertitles are both informative and droll. John Stancato's direction keeps the show moving and delightful. Eugene Ma's piano playing, wonderful. It really makes you feel like you're at a silent film. Helps shape the grand emotions. While I generally abhor sentimental clown stories, this show was brilliant and I loved it.
Yes, we are both giving this one a major happy face. I mean, it was just Eugene Ma. He just had the music in his head and just sort of composed it on the spot, because sometimes things got stuck, and he was able to, with his music, keep things going. And there was subtitles. And John Staccato, he also brought us the wonderful Lady Mendelssohn's Tea at the tea salon. I mean, this company is so inventive and clever and fun, and all the critics are just raving about it. It's not just getting audience word of mouth. The critics are telling their compatriots, please don't miss this. This is one of the best things you're going to see this year. This is going to make the top 10 in December 2013.
In Food Acts, we're presented with over 30 excerpts from literature about the subject of food. There's a great variety here, everything from Dorothy Parker to the Bible, Anthony Bourdain to Virginia Woolf. My favorites were Langston Hughes' depiction of an extremely surly counterwoman in a Harlem fish restaurant, Peter Hessler's memoir of eating rat meat in a foreign restaurant, and believe it or not, a solemn excerpt from the Iliad. These tidbits are well peppered with amusing anecdotes, and it's all well staged and beautifully acted. My one quibble with it is about that literary excerpts don't always come to a real conclusion. That's why Food Acts is more like well-prepared snacks rather than a full-course meal.
Theater 167 presents the Jackson Heights trilogy. I saw the last play in the series, Jackson Heights 3 a.m. We get snippets of injured drag performer, female car dispatcher with possible romance phoning in, a budding romance between a livery driver and a bakery girl who don't speak the same language, forced prostitute dreaming of escape to Disneyland with boyfriend, a gay romance, kid playing soccer while mom tries to make ends meet, couple of cops, and a host of other characters with different ethnic origins. The various storylines are interwoven into a rich tapestry that unfortunately comes to a crashing halt without resolving some of the storylines. The plays were conceived and directed by Ari Laura Kreith with huge cast and a bevy of writers too numerous to mention. The myriad of characters were extremely engaging and monumentally portrayed by various actors who sometimes took on double roles, so diverse you could hardly tell they were the same actors. It definitely is worth catching, despite the lack of a good ending. I'd love to see the other two plays, 167 Tongues, which is a prequel to Jackson Heights 3 a.m., and You Are Now the Owner of the Suitcase, which is a collection of folktales from different countries full of magical surrealism. I'm going to go pay attention to this company from now on, and I'm like excited. Saturday you can see all three plays if you want.
La Mama and Untitled Theater Company No. 61 present Edward Einhorn's adaptation and direction of the Euripides tragedy from 2,400 years ago, Iphegenia and Aulis. This is the story of Agamemnon's decision to sacrifice his daughter Iphigenia in order to get the winds that will blow the Greek sailors to Troy, where they can engage in the Trojan War. He tricks his wife Clytemnestra into bringing the daughter, and, of course, it's not a happy scene. No mom wants her daughter to be slaughtered instead of married. There's also the brother of Agamemnon, Menelaus, whose wife Helen is the one who, is the cause of the war, and everybody's wondering, why does Iphigenia have to die? Why can't Menelaus sacrifice his daughter to get the winds? So it's very much about mob rule and the responsibilities of a leader of a democracy. It's an excellent play. There's rock music for the chorus, and it's very well done. It doesn't seem like a play that's been dead for 2,400 years.
Davy Anderson's The Mark of Zorro, presented by the Scottish Theatre Companies at New Victory, is visible fiction which utilizes only three actors, Tim Settle, Denise Hoey, and Neil Thomas, to tell the story of how young Don Diego de la Vega saw his father murdered and vowed to avenge his death, and became Zorro, the sword monogramming, fighting injustice, while shyly falling in love with Isabella, the daughter of the governor of California, his guardian, after his dad's death. Isabella's other suitor is the evil Esteban, the bad guy of the story.
Yeah, I loved the movie with Antonio Banderas, and I loved this as well. It was really cool because they used this tiny little puppet Zorro, and it showed him jumping up and down, and the kids were getting into it. I was getting into it. It was just really fun, and they had really good sword fights, and it was really cool.
I agree. The New Victory, bring them back, and any time. Last time we saw them was Jason and the Argonauts. They're wonderful.
They certainly are.
Isaac's eye is like Amadeus, but with prominent scientists instead of composers. In it, a young and callow Isaac Newton sends his theories on light to Robert Hooke, the head of the Royal Academy of Science, who has similar theories on the subject. From there, the two engage in a stormy tug-of-war, with each one eventually trying to blackmail the other into dropping their studies. Add to this the fact that both have a romantic interest in the same woman, who is both an object of affection and a pawn in their schemes against one another, and you have quite a bit of drama. Some of this is fiction, and some of this is fact, and we do have a narrator who tells us which is which is really terrific. And it's really very good.
Yeah, what he does is he puts it on the bulletin board. He has a blackboard, so when it's fact, he chalks it up on the blackboard, and when it's fiction, then you know, if you don't see it on the blackboard, I'm like, oh, okay. So it makes it very clear to us, and the acting is just superb.
Yeah.
I'll get you.
Oh, no, it is. It's very well absorbed. It's like the scientists themselves in the sense that it is very smart, but a bit cold also. It has some humor, but there is something very cold about it. But it's terrific. It is very good.
And very well directed. And I should say, I only got to see the first act because I got the call, beforehand, so I had to leave at intermission, and I got home in time before Gracie died, my cat. So that's why I didn't stay for the whole thing. But I can give it a half happy face for the first act.
I'll give it a happy face for both acts.
I just want to mention that this was directed by Lindsay Furman, and it had Jeff Beal, Kristen Bush, Haskell King, and Michael Louis Seraphin Wells in it. I just think they deserved a mention.
Body and Soul, the cabaret set featuring Carol J. Bufford, with conception and direction by Scott Siegel, is one of the most satisfying musical events I've ever attended. Miss Bufford presents songs stripped down to their bare emotions, but gratifies us with a full emotional effect and range. Classic Torch songs, Can't Help Lovin' That Man of Mine from Showboat and Cry Me a River, are handled as deftly as comic gems like Good Time Girl and Low, Short, and Squatty. Her musical director, arranger, and piano player, Ian Herman, knows how to make the songs and Miss Bufford shine. The Metropolitan Room is a grand but intimate space with delicious drinks. My companion, Claudia Terry, was impressed with Carol's amazing voice and phrasing, as well as her gorgeous energy and dress. It really doesn't get any better than this. Definitely a major happy face.
I'm just going to plug a few things. There'll be more information in our listings at the end. But Judith Ivy's going to be at the Long Wharf doing Curse the Starving Class with Sam Shepard. Leonard might be talking about that later. It's time for the Shaw. They're doing Caesar and Cleopatra. Daniel Davis and Tony Award winner Nikki M. James, from Book of Mormon, is going to be doing that. And they're doing Carousel at the Carnegie Hall, or Alice Tully Hall, sorry. And more information on that with Nathan Gunn and Kelly O'Hara. I mean, my God, it's going to be fabulous. So there's a lot of good stuff. I'll give you the information at the end of the show.
Godlight Theater Company's production of Will Elliott's The Pilo Family Circus is hamstrung by a god-awful text adapted by Matt Pelfrey. The story of a group of sadistic clowns who torment a young man and turn him into one of them is both ugly and at times incoherent. The other assorted freaks and acrobats who complete the miserable and combative circus family are equally unpleasant. The lighting design by Maruti Evan and the sound design by Ian DeNeo are brilliant, as are the stage pictures created by the director Joe Tantalo and the talented cast led by Nick Paglino as the victim who discovers his inner evil clown. I'm sure Godlight can do wonders with better material, but you can't polish a turd.
Martin Moran's back with All That Rage, which talks about his vile wife of Dad, he won't call her stepmother, and how he deals with her at his dad's funeral, his angry brother Dave, and why is he so angry, his previous one-man show about being molested by Bob and his encounter with him 30 years later, his translating for refugees seeking asylum, in particular Ziba, who was in prison and managed to escape and still could laugh despite his circumstances, his visit to South Africa and the cradle of civilization. He touched upon these various events in order to figure out how can you forgive the unforgivable and not get angry. Martin Moran is a gifted storyteller that holds your interest while spinning his yarns, and once again, I give this one-man person a major happy face.
This is Mark Savitt's review. Richmond Shepard's play with mime, Children of Paradise, continues at Theatre for the New City until February 24th. While it shares the title of the great Marcel Carne film of 1945, this show presents a more accurate depiction of the life and work of Jean-Baptiste Gaspard de Barreau, playing Pierrot at the Funambules in Paris in the early 1800s, as played by Chris Deros. De Barreau was not the delicate, almost saintly figure created by Barrault in the film. He was an angry terror backstage, an active revolutionary on the streets, and quite a ladies' man with the ingenues. Shepard's reconstructions of de Barreau set pieces The Old Clothes Man, Pierrot's Duel, and The Captain Goes A-Wooing are earthier and funnier than the snippets we see in the film. Clearly this was a labor of love for Shepard, and the results of his research are interesting. But as a theater piece, this has problems. De Barreau tells the story in reverse order, creating a 2.5-hour work with little forward momentum. The cast of mostly young performers seems more adept at acrobatics than either mime or acting. While I wanted to love this, it was a chore and a slog to sit through. Mark gives this a mixed face.
And now for play's closing. And don't forget to pick up your Performing Arts Insider, the cultural heartbeat of New York City. And I apologize if this doesn't get seen in time, but our studio was shut down due to renovations. They're doing Lend Me a Tenner at Paper Mill. Musicals and Mufti is doing some wonderful things. Happy Hunting, Hollywood Pinafore. I love them. And don't forget a conversation with Ann Kaufman, George Kaufman's daughter. And coming to the Theatre for the New City is Nick Jones's Trevor.
In me again?
And Carousel is going to be at Avery Fisher Hall, and we were telling you how fabulous that's going to be. And Project Shaw is going on. And also there is a Frog and Peach benefit. And an American Showstopper evening with Fred Barton at Pace. Frigid Festival, lots of plays going on there. And check out B.B. King for Dionne Warwick and Don McLean. And don't forget to check out our Facebook page. There's a whole lot more reviews there.